Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to talk about a really big idea in math called a function. Now, I know that word might sound a little scary, but I promise you, the idea behind it is super simple. We're going to figure this out together, and by the end, you'll get it completely. Ready? Let's jump in. Okay, so to get started, just think about this. In our everyday lives, lots of things are connected, right? When one thing changes, it causes another thing to change too. Let's make this really easy to see with a simple example, a running race. Okay, picture this with me. You're standing at the starting line of a 100-meter race. The gun fires, and you start running. As you're sprinting down that track, what are two things that are changing the whole time? Think about it for a second. Well, the first thing is the distance you've already run. And what's the second? Yep, you got it. It's the distance you still have left to go. Now let's look at this table. It shows that connection perfectly. We're going to call the distance run our input, and we'll just label it X. Then the distance left will be our output, which we'll call Y. See how this works? So if you've run 2 meters, how many meters are left? Just look at the table. Yep, exactly 98 meters. And when you're halfway there, at 50 meters, there's exactly 50 meters left. See that pattern? For every single input X, there is only one possible output Y. And this right here, this is the single most important idea for today, so listen close. For every single input X that we have, there is only one possible output Y. It's a special kind of relationship, one thing in, one thing out. That's the key to this whole thing. So this special one output rule is so important in math that, of course, it has its very own name. And that name is a function. That's all a function is. It's just a rule where every input has only one output. It's kind of like a machine, right? You put one thing in, that's your input X, the machine follows its rule, and exactly one thing comes out. That's your output Y. One thing in, one thing out. That's a function. You know, sometimes the best way to understand what something is to look at what it isn't. So let's put our new one output rule to the test with a different example and see what happens. Okay, let's try a brand new rule. This time, our input X is just a number, and our output Y is going to be a factor of that number. Now remember, a factor is just a number that divides into another one perfectly, with no remainder. Like 2 is a factor of 8. Okay, now check out this table. If our input is the number 1, well, the only factor of 1 is 1. So far, so good. One input, one output. But, hang on. What about the number 2? What are its factors? Well, 1 goes into 2, and 2 goes into 2. Uh-oh. Do you see the problem? We put one number in, but we got 2 numbers out. And look at 4. The factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4. That's one input giving us 3 different outputs. That totally breaks our rule. This slide makes it crystal clear. On the left, with our race, if the input is 2, you get only one output, 98. It follows the rule, so it's a function. But on the right, with our factor example, an input of 2 gives you multiple outputs, 1 and 2. It breaks that one output rule. So that means the factor relationship is not a function. You're doing great. So now that we understand the rule, let's learn how to speak the language of functions. Math has its own special way to write all this down, but I promise it just looks fancy. It's actually really simple. So instead of writing out a whole long sentence, mathematicians just write this, y equals f of x. And when we say it out loud, we say y equals f of x. All this means is that y is a function of x. It's just a shortcut for saying that the answer for y depends on what number you put in for x. And when we find that final output, that y value for a certain x, we call it the function value. That's just the official name for it. It really just means the answer you get. Okay, let's actually try one. Here's a function rule. F of x equals 10x. This rule is just telling us, hey, whatever number x is, multiply it by 10. So if someone asks you to find f of 4, what do? It's simple. You just replace every x you see with the number 4. So f of x becomes f of 4, and 10x becomes 10 times 4. Now you just do the math. 10 times 4 is 40. So f of 4 equals 40. The function value is 40. See? Not so bad, right? All right, I think you're really getting this. To make sure, let's try one more together. You ready for this? Okay, it's your turn. Our new function rule is f of x equals x plus 5. So the rule is just take your input, x, and add 5 to it. So here's the question for you. What is the value of f of 2? Go on, take a moment and see if you can figure it out. And the answer is 7. Did you get it? I bet you did. All we had to do was replace the x with a 2. So f of 2 equals 2 plus 5, which is 7. Excellent work! So let's quickly recap what we learned. First, a function is just a rule, like a set of instructions. Second, and this is the big one, every single input has only one output. Third, we have that special shortcut to write it, f of x. And finally, the most important thing to remember is that you can do this. Once you know the rule, you just have to follow the steps. Now that you know the big one input, one output rule, I bet you're going to start seeing functions everywhere you look. Think about a vending machine. You press one button, that's your input, and you get one specific bag of chips. That's your output. What are some other functions you can think of in your daily life? It's kind of a fun challenge to look for them. Thanks for learning with me today.